Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. Hey, everybody. I know this has been a very hectic start to 2026. We've really seen some really inflammatory and some cultural touch points that have been happening all over the country, but most specifically in Minnesota. And I just had to come in and check in and give some of the news, give you a full perspective, make sure you understand what is going on, why it's happening. This is one of your founder of Hip Politics, former senior White House official with almost 20 years in federal and local politics, Cameron Calvin here. You've been hearing about this ICE shooting, and you've been hearing about what has happened most recently. And I wanted to, because the rhetoric and some of the stakes I think are just ratcheting up so high, I wanted to just talk to you and give you some updates. Just today, the secretary out of Trump's cabinet, Secretary of Homeland Security, Kristi Noem, former congressman, has said hundreds of more ICE officials are on the way. Again, this is in response to the recent shooting by an ICE agent, a recent shooting of a white woman, 37-year-old Renee Good. She was an American citizen. As all the footage and so forth, and you can probably check it out anywhere online, also on the Hip Politics news channel and our social media. There's so much footage out there. What happened was driving her car away and was fatally shot in the face by Immigrations and Customs enforcement official this past Wednesday while driving away her car. And that has led to huge response. When I say huge response, I mean huge response. First, you've seen, more recently, you've seen some of the, in solidarity, and all the people who spoke out against the mayor of Minneapolis, the new mayor of St. Paul have all talked about it. Even the Minnesota Timberwolves on their game Thursday held a moment of silence before the game in honor of her. This feels like it's a tipping point. It feels like when an American citizen has been shot and killed on camera in front of a large crowd, this is a tipping point that has really been sparking, like I said, outrage and protests nationwide. You've been able to see, like I said, you've been able to see nationwide some of the stuff that has been happening. People are asking the questions like, could this officer, the officer's name is Jonathan Ross, is he going to be prosecuted? The federal officials have come out in full force. We have here on the Hip Politics Network, make sure you check out the full White House brief, live from the White House briefing room. Vice President J.D. Vance talk about his perspective on what happened, and really they defended the ICE agent. They said that he had been hit and accosted multiple times in other ways, so he was traumatized. That may call some of the reporters and reporting are calling the question, should he have been given a leave of absence or something of that nature? Did he follow all those protocols? And then is he up for prosecution? And you're seeing coming from the Trump officials and the federal, on his federal side, saying that this ICE agent acted within his rights. There still has not been an official investigation, and there's been a lot of contention there. I think that is one of the many reasons why these protests are underway. But I say, one, to J.D. Vance, I gotta go. That's a foul on J.D. Vance, because the way he characterized this, as if this was a doing of the Democrats or something else, it's like, no, ICE has been, as you've seen, has been aggressively snatching people off the street. I'm mostly based in D.C., and we have a lot of our staff and team based in D.C., and we've been seeing the ICE agents, Coast National Guard, have been all over the city, deployed in some of the high traffic and nicer areas of the city, but high traffic areas of the city. But you regularly see them breaking up teams of, because people may seem Hispanic or Latino, they're pulling them over. Now they're, like I said, this is it. I think the tipping point here is that she was an American citizen, a white woman, clearly was trying to get in her car and drive away. and the fact that he took that as a threat and felt his life was impacted, and shot her in the face. Shot her 3 times, I believe, and killed her. There's been outrage also, and pushback from the Democratic Party and from leaders in the Senate. One of the senators from Minnesota, Senator Tina Smith, said just this Sunday that the Trump administration is she believes that the Trump administration is orchestrating a cover-up of the events surrounding the fatal shooting of Renee Good. To quote, she said, I think what we are seeing here is the federal government, Kristi Noem, Vice President Vance, Donald Trump, attempt to cover up what happened here in the Twin Cities. And I don't think that people around here or around the country are believing it. I'm curious to what you think is. I'm curious to what you think is the issue and what has happened. I mean, there is so much. Sorry about that. There's so much going on. It's kind of hard to understand or know what to believe at this point. And I would say, in my opinion, and I won't even give my opinion, I'm just going to say this is something that requires a federal investigation in cooperation with a local investigation, a non-biased or as non-biased as possible investigation as to what happened, all the footage and ensure that is seen and people know what is happening here. And then I think when Senator Smith here, when she was challenged, she did this recently, I believe, on an ABC interview. She said, what I mean by that is that you can see everything that they are doing is trying to shape the narrative to say what happened without any investigation. Remember, an investigation we think has started, but has definitely not been completed. And hours after Renee Good was shot and killed by federal agents, Kristi Noem was already telling us exactly what had happened. They were calling her a domestic terrorist before they even knew what her name was. Again, like I said, the Trump administration has argued that he did, with Homeland Security Kristi Noem on CNN State of the Union, doubling down on her assertion that Good was a dangerous person who was breaking the law. Tina Smith, it is worth noting that she's coming out with a strong rhetoric, and she is retiring at the end of the year, so her seat is up for her current seat in the U.S. Senate is up for election this year. And she said, I understand how professional law enforcement is trained. They're trained to de-escalate situations, not make them worse, not make conflict worse. They are certainly trained to step out of the way of a moving vehicle, not place themselves in the middle of moving vehicles. And no professional law enforcement would exchange words or banter with somebody who is engaged in their legal right to protest and then lose control, which is, what it looks like what happens to me. A lot of people are basically framing this as the ICE agents, with over thousands of them coming on board in less than a year, have not received the necessary training or don't necessarily have the breadth and depth of experience needed to understand how to handle these situations delicately. Often they are going into harm's way, or they're pulling people off the street. That's why you see so many of them masked up. They claim that is because they're getting doxxed, which means somebody's revealing their name, place they live, or public or other their private information publicly. They're being assaulted. It's hard for them to get everything from food to hotel rooms in different places. You've seen stories around that around the country. So I'm curious to what you guys think. Make sure you like and subscribe here at Politics TV, or run that hype machine up. That's how you get more information. You're going to get more of our folks and more of our correspondents from around the country to check in on these news incidents, but wanted to keep you updated on some of the information here of what has been happening. With that, we thank you, and we're out. Peace.